I really feel like it's I really want my bill. That's due to other ways and angles.
I was planning on here with me this time and working through some. This thing. Using seconds. Yeah, literally. I don't know if anybody can hear us. Can anybody hear us?
I was like,
So. Well, problem is my connection.
Yes, we can hear you. It's not like incredibly clear, but we can hear you.
Hey. All right. Good morning, everybody. I call to order the regular meeting for the Board of Supervisors for Solterra Resort CDD. Today is March 6th, approximately 10:01 a.m. Take a roll call. Members of the board, Brian Root. Here. Deborah Hine. Present. Bobby Wissard.
Present.
Sumant Neelam.
Here.
Karen Winter.
Present.
Members of your district staff, Joe Bullins, your general manager, Brian Mendez with Rosetta representing your district management team, Meredith Pamela and Savannah Hancock representing your council, and Greg Woodcock on the call, your district engineer. Now we have members of Yellowstone, Jeremy and Vicky, as well as Matt with our aquatics team. And members of the Artemis team, Greg and Sandra, and members of the audience. Jump into public comments. We do have a submittal from Jeff Boyle. Audience comments, and then address for the record is 1011 Oak Bluff Drive.
Morning, everybody. Two quick things here. One was this walkway that was passing the Springs Gate. Sharon had mentioned they're looking at it, because it was pretty bad. I guess considerably. It's on sidewalk.
Yeah, we have to vote on it, but
Oh.
to me, I think that that's the best recommendation, the best way forward. I agree that that is nicer too, and I've brought it up in the past. I think it was put in to facilitate the kids that are going to the bus stop that was back there by the spring circle. For the kids on the last loop.
Cheapest solution at the time, we're gonna tell them that is the cheapest solution, we have to come up with that to see if it's for everything that they bring. And then the other thing was, does the CDD handle the maintenance on that wall for Springs, or is that HOA?
Does the CDD handle the maintenance of the wall? Greg, I do we own the wall outside?
Yes.
We do.
The market.
I believe so. I believe it's on CDD property. I'll double check that for you.
I'm sorry, that the gates are fixed too.
Yeah, it's for right where we go into the Springs.
We can check that. Sometimes that takes away improvement on district property to permit that gate. So let us double check that.
Is there an issue with it that needs to be addressed? Because we have both, HOA presence and CDD, so if there is something
Well, I mean, it's starting to look kind of bad. I mean, it's got black.
needs to be started cleaned, it's routine maintenance
Yeah.
to whatever jurisdiction it belongs to. Okay.
So cleaning is what you'd like to happen, or is there construction or anything else that needs to go
Well,
on?
no construction, it's just things get refreshed.
Okay.
You know.
Okay. I suppose the guy pressure claims, and it could be identified if it needed anything more like page words. Okay.
Yeah.
Right, can you, while we're going through the agenda, check on that ownership?
Yep, I'll take a look now.
Any other, that's it, all right, thank you for those comments. Any other public comments at this time? Anybody online? Any comments for the board on today's agenda?
Brian, is your internet working?
I believe,
I don't see that. You kicked down, isn't that?
Here, can you pass that down to Bobby? It didn't work for me either, and they gave me that to log into. But maybe try that as a round two.
all right, hearing no other comments, I'm gonna go ahead and.
That's amazing stuff.
So actually, before we go into pool service updates, you're going to be considering your pool resurface RFP. I would like to take a motion to rearrange the agenda to move aquatic maintenance updates below landscape maintenance updates. The vendor has a appointment.
I was motion selection.
I'll second it.
Second from Deb, all in favor?
And
Aye.
and actually, I'd like to have all the vendors go first as we start these meetings in the interest of their time, and then they can get on with their day. We can hash out our other business.
Beautiful. That was the instruction at the last meeting. This was just a little typo, but let's, love that. Let's do consideration of pool resurface RFP. So on your agendas on the tablets board, there's a separate tab on the top cursor for the pool RFPs. We did not put it on the agenda for, what is that actually? Yeah.
I'm sure some are shocked.
I'll grab it to make sure everybody's. Yep, you got it, you got it. All right. Simon, are you with us on the call right now?
He doesn't have it.
Who?
Brian.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, good morning.
Can you share with me?
Yeah.
Oh, it's an email?
Are you with us?
Because you're on your laptop,
Yep.
but not.
Hey, Simon. So Simon, would you like to, weigh in on what the board's gonna be considering today here?
Yep, so you should have the responses to the RFP for resurfacing Lazy River, Main Pool and Spa. The lights as well to make you have light swimming at night swimming on for the Lazy River. So you proposals are there for the Lazy River plus the lights in the Lazy River and lights outside of the Lazy River to be done. And then the proposal for the pool and the spa. All we are going to be splitting up, I believe, to do Lazy River now, pool and spa in September, and the vendors have agreed to hold their prices for the whole job up until the end of the year. So yeah, nothing will change. What you approve today is what will happen in September as well as possibly March if everything's approved to go ahead.
And what was that? Oh, sure. No, take it.
So supervisors, Meredith and I also went through, as you know, this was a formal RFP. There are certain requirements that we put in our RFPs with forms, affidavits, different information that we asked for. So of the two proposals, the Vermont proposal, they fulfilled all of the mandatory requirements. They did not include proposed staffing levels. They did not include a detailed project schedule for both the pool and the Lazy River. And then they did not submit a letter of qualification from a security company or anything about their financial capability. For the other proposal, NV Pools LLC, they didn't submit anything except for the pricing. For the RFP, they didn't complete any of the affidavits or forms or other requirements under the RFP that we requested. And just so you know, our mandatory requirements was showing that you're authorized to do business in the state of Florida and hold all required state and or federal licenses and good standing that you have at least 5 years of experience with commercial pool resurfacing projects with 3 successfully completed in the last 3 years. Agreeing to comply with Florida's E-Verify requirements, completing the bid price form and submit a schedule of values for all the work, and that you're fully licensed and insured. We also requested, there are certain affidavits you have to complete to work with a local government, your human trafficking affidavit, your Safety Act. There's probably 5 or 6. We just didn't receive them with that proposal, so I did want to bring that to the board's attention. If you do want to consider the NV Pools LLC proposal, you are able to waive the requirements of the RFP, but I just wanted to make sure that you are aware.
We can't waive the requirements of the affidavits. So if you award to them, they will need to
Be subject to them providing the documentation.
Correct.
With that, Simon, can you weigh in what the board needs to know in terms of?
I have a point. Have you guys looked at the licensing of this people? Because he has a license only for a pool and hot tub, a pool and spa operator. If he's working with the sub vendors to do any work, you need to have an EC license at work.
That's my
That's it.
understanding. They're required to provide adequate licensing to do the job.
Right.
And so that would be something that the board, I would recommend clarifying with any of your proposers. Are they properly licensed to do this job? I will say, I personally haven't had any districts that worked with NV Pools. That's not to say one thing or another about that company. I just don't have experience with them. Vermont, I have a similarly situated, highly amenitized district that I think I've referenced a few times to you all before. And Vermont did their pool, lap pool, and spa recent in the last 30 years. So that committee, I'm familiar with doing that.
And the pricing in the RFP we requested be held for 365 days upon submission, and I believe the due date for this RFP was late January. So once it was submitted, it's held for 365 days, not just till the end of this year.
I think it was in January, right? Yeah, it's we were ready to consider in March. Yep, or yeah.
And then for the licensees, so everybody understands, the only license that's needed to do the renovations is a CPC license, which is a certified pool contractor level 4. So which they all have. The GC license is if you're building a pool, you would then need a specific GC license to involve in that. But the CPC license is what is needed with all of this. Plus, there's an electrical license for the electricians that would be doing the lights on the deck and the lights inside the river. But the CPC license is what has to be held, which all 3 do have, because I've checked everything that they do have their CPC licenses. They are all, so NV Pools is 90% or 95% a pool building company. So they build pools from ground all the way up. So that's what NV are. But again, building a pool and renovating a pool are much the same. They use the same people. Alexa is, Vimana is maintenance and renovations. So they have their CPC license to do all of that, as well as electrical as well. So yeah, all the companies that you have the bids from have everything. And if I'm not sure why they didn't submit them, but we can get those submitted. I do have a hard copy, which I wonder if they've put their licenses in the hard copy, which I picked up yesterday. So I wonder if they've put their licenses in the hard copy.
Well, the RFP forms were required to be submitted to the Rosetta office on the due date, and they
Yep.
were required to submit 1 electronic copy and 1 digital copy. Or one copy, sorry.
Yeah, one of them called me yesterday and said, "Oh, we've still got the hard copy," and I was like, "Well, you were supposed to send it." So I collected it because I was down that way yesterday. So I collected it, and I'd need to give that to you for you to review anyway.
Simon, do you hold any of those licenses?
No, I don't do anything. I don't have anything to do with this. So I hold a CPO license, and then I have a separate company that does all of my repairs and renovations for me. But yeah, as I said, I'm just helping you guys with this. I'm not involved in it.
Simon, I just want to say thank you for taking the time and using your professional expertise to help us navigate through this process.
You're welcome.
And with that, Simon, I'd be looking for some recommendations, some guidance, some total pricing, in between, the two proposals so that the board can weigh out their options.
And Simon,
Yeah,
just
I mean, if you want to,
sorry. The board does have to evaluate the electronic copy of the proposal that was submitted. I know you have a hard copy in front of you. If there are discrepancies between the hard copy and the electronic copy, the board is bound by the electronic copy that was submitted in response to the public bid. So please note for us if there are discrepancies between those two, but the board will have to evaluate on the electronic version that was submitted. Thank you.
Yeah.
Back to you.
so yeah, so everything obviously is there with what you have at the moment. I think the agreement or the thought process is to do the river first, and then later in the year do the pool and the spa. So obviously the approvals are what you are going to approve to have done: river to be resurfaced, pool to be resurfaced, spa, hot tub to be resurfaced, and then the lights to be added in the river and around the river to give you night swimming. You already have night swimming for the pool. The lights are there. We haven't checked whether all those lights are working. As long as all those lights are working, you have a night permit for the pool and the hot tub.
Thank you. So who can kind of break this down for us?
Yeah.
Level that we can kind of understand both of these, because I'm on page 40 of the first one.
That's what I'm asking. Simon, what is as a consultant to the district, when we entered into this, what is your recommendation for vetting these two proposals on how we move forward and why price is?
Yeah, so I haven't got the electronic copies, but from what we spoke about, Brian, I think Vimana, I think it was Vimana that had everything, right? They had all the lights and they had the full kit with everything. Like they'd submitted pretty much mostly everything apart from some of the things that you guys have found.
Yeah, we were in the Domingo basement, they have everything pretty much.
Yes. So.
Sorry, so I didn't hear that, so.
Well, hold on, before we get into timeline, let's vet this thing. So,
The Domisa has both the pool lump sum, the spa lump sum.
Check the page number 3, they listed pretty much on the lump sums there.
yeah, that's what I'm looking at. So it's some price of $554,228 will include pool lump sum for a variance of $169, spa lump sum, so on and so forth. So the total price for the first RFP looks like $554,228,000, but there is an add-on, and I'm not sure if that's included. So let me do some quick math.
The R&D should be for the right?
Yes, correct, and I want to make sure that that's included in the lump sum of $550,000.
Okay, so
It is.
lump sum price.
But if it again,
Okay.
28,
Let me check.
which is the pool, the spa,
Yeah, let me do some quick
the
math.
lazy river, heater pool, and lighting for the lazy river. Add-ons above ground lazy river, zero entry lighting, underwater lazy river lighting.
I think the 500 one was with everything, lights on the deck, everything.
So Simon, do you know, looking at that proposal that's 554, 228, all in lights per pool, is that to upgrade those to the LED lights?
Yes, yeah, they're the lights to give you. So you have to have 3 candeliers of light at all points of the pool deck. So the lights and everything that are being supplied, it will have to go through a metric test and be signed off by the health department and everything. So they would install those lights. So the engineer came there and looked, worked out exactly where those lights would need to be, and that would give you 3 candeliers of light at any point on the deck, which basically is daylight on the deck
So that's.
during the hours that you're open.
Pool water lighting, correct?
Yeah, so you have to have lights inside the pool and the river to have night swimming, but you also have to have external lights that make the pool area as if it's daylight. So the 3 candeliers is what gives you that. That's the standard for the health department, that requires 3 candeliers of light in order for you to have night swimming on the deck, so that people can see where they're going. They can see into the pool, and it will cast a shadow if somebody was laying on the bottom of the pool. So the lights in the pool are required, and lights externally from the pool are required.
So commercial pool, so you have the $554,228 from Vermont, and then you currently have NV at a total of $429,000 for,
What page is that, Brian?
it's, you scroll down, it's on the same tab.
If you go to 103, we can.
Go to the last page, okay.
And then the Lazy River resurface proposal. So, I'm sorry, council, what were they missing?
So they,
NV?
they were missing the proof they're authorized to do business in Florida and hold all required licenses, that they have at least 5 years of experience with 3 projects completed in the last 3 years. Proof that they would comply with Florida's E-Verify requirements, the bid price form and schedule of values for all the work. Proof that they're fully licensed and insured. All of the blanks of the RFP package were not completed since they didn't submit one. Completed proposal form and executed affidavits and sworn statements. They did not list the position and title of and corporate responsibilities of key management or supervisory personnel. We also requested resumes to be included. They did not include proposed staffing levels. They did not include information related to 3 projects of similar size and scope or 3 references. They did have a partial narrative description technically on their proposal that has pricing, that lists what they would do. There's no detailed project schedule. There's no certificate of insurance. There's no letter of qualification, and there is no information regarding their financial capability.
And it appears that there's no Lazy River heat.
Correct.
Lazy River deck lights.
Correct.
The
So they're not apples to
153,000.
apples.
That's what's missing. So the add-ons for the above light is what's missing from NV, and that puts them at technically 580 to 438 if I were to take the same figure
Okay.
of the additional. So they come in slightly higher.
Is there any reason both vendors didn't show up today to explain the proposals? That's kind of disappointing, like, after
The big problem.
we can't get, two vendors to come in here and explain the proposal?
It's neither yay or nay. I mean, it's not always that the vendor will present. They'll formally submit their bid for consideration and just trust us to, do the necessary follow-ups. If they wanted to join, we'd obviously invite them. Just didn't get it on the schedule.
Well, based on this information, there's only one clear choice for me, and that would be to use Vermont. It's inclusive. It looks like they meet the requirements of RFP.
And that's usually a pretty good indication of what it's gonna be like going forward.
They went so far as to put in a whole timeline of how long things are expected to take. It's very detailed, and if the detail related to the proposal is any indication of the detail of their work, I think it looks good.
Good point.
And is there any way can you present virtually at least to us?
Of course there is. The only thing you run into is we had a tentative date, I think, to begin, the resurface, what was it March or April, Simon?
March 16th.
March, so that's the only thing that would be affected. We would have to push back and potentially get into a little bit of a busier season, but.
Okay, can anyone from the board at least listen to them in a virtual so that they can explain? The chair or someone else will.
Oh, you would like to maybe do an approval of having,
You wanna call them now?
No, I mean, like, at some point of time, you can take an appointment with them and listen what they're presenting.
Because this is a formal bid, it has to be a decision made by the full board. You do need to rank them number one and number two in terms of responsiveness as a board. So either what we can do here today, and it's because of the way it's advertised in the RFP tonight, quite frankly. You could defer a decision today, you could not adjourn your meeting and continue your meeting to a date time certain, or we would all have to reconvene and we could try and get the proposers here either virtually or in person. That would require in-person talking to the board, attendance by your district manager and staff and things of that nature. It's not a workshop, it's a continued public board meeting. That could be an option to try and get within this March 16th start date deadline. I'm trying to think of other options. The board could rank 1 and 2 today, subject to, contract negotiations. And if those are not successful for whatever reason, we'd be coming back to the board, or the board could vote to defer the decision today to your April board meeting.
there's also, let me throw this in, I just did this, yesterday with the pool resurface. We could give the vendor some time, move on to the agenda, and see if we could get the other two proposers to call in. So, I just reached out to Simon, he's going to call the vendors, and hopefully they can sign in. If that's okay, maybe just table and move
That's
forward.
okay, but I kind of feel like maybe because Simon was acting as a consultant for us, maybe they didn't feel the need to be present because he would have been, participating as he is in the meeting, but, I mean, I guess we can defer this to a little bit later in the meeting, but I don't want to defer it past today.
Did anyone or here or Simon reach out and talk to the references, the 3 references for?
Yes, Simon has, obviously Simon is a commercial
Okay.
pool service, so I'm sure he's worked with both of these companies. I know he's established communication, as have we. So I would suggest just for efficiency, let's move forward and then give him some time. Whenever he comes back on the call, let's hear from the proposers.
Also, additional to that, added to that, the paperwork is not complete, so I cannot really vote on something which is, paperwork is not complete. I didn't really see what kind of work they did, their presentation. So both were extremely sloppy. I think any person has the decent sense of ethics actually. We can't vote in the conference. Okay, paperwork is important, licensing, everything is important. Those are basic necessary things at a basic level. Allow for presentation.
And agree,
Brian.
they had some struggles with the process that they were trying to work through. They did have some questions. Thank you, Simon.
Yeah, no, I can't get either because they're all in. They're at this. They're at a show today. There's an expo show which everybody's at, so we'd have to reconvene and do that. So, I mean, if we just run through a few things in regards to these companies that we have. So, Vimana is a multi-million-dollar company, very, very large. And this is just to give you guys a background as the board. Yet, obviously, you make the decisions how you want to do, but just from an industry point of view and what these people are. So, the job that you're the way that this RFP is constructed is very, very, very in depth to what a normal RFP would be. It requires a huge amount more information than what normal RFPs would do. So a lot of these people probably don't do much necessarily with the CDD stuff. So, and when the CDD do it right, then this is what it needs, but they don't always necessarily supply you with the information. A lot of these companies aren't able, there's a lot of companies out there that aren't able to do everything as a one-stop shop. So you would have to get bids for the pool to be resurfaced, then you would have to get an electrical contractor to do the lights and everything else. So you would have probably 3 or 4 different vendors giving you bids in order to make up the whole job, because there's not many companies that are fully rounded to do electrical, the plastering, the renovations and everything like that. So with Vimana, they are a fully scoped company. They are able to do repairs, renovations, they have electrical contracts. So they are able to provide you, which I feel is why you ended up with what you've got, is they are really the only company that can go out and do everything as one thing, and they do it often. So I've worked with all of these companies. Vimana are great. And obviously I would be involved as well. I wouldn't be just doing this part for you and then leaving it. You know, I would be making weekly visits and making sure that everything is running how it should be running. So yeah, we'll have that as well. With Envy, you know, they're more of a building company, so they build pools. And the same as a lot of these people with these RFPs, anybody can get hold of that RFP and price it. And they probably hope that they can just put a bid in and hope that it would get through. But there are things that need to be updated. So I certainly can vouch for Vimana. But obviously, if you need more information and stuff, then we can get that from them, and any other things that we need, or we can put the RFP back out again, I guess, if we are we allowed to do that if we have to?
You would start the process all over again, but yes, you could.
Yeah.
Okay, well, real quick, Debbie has stated that she, this deadline, we're trying to be able to move forward. Sam, what would be your advice or recommendations if it's not completed correctly? Is there a way that we could still meet Debbie's deadline so it can move forward and that we can get these resolved? Like, what would you think would be a good resolution to get accurate paper? It was $500,000. Seems like everyone seems kind of okay with it. It's recommended, but Sam, what would be your recommendations for how to still get it done according to schedule, but get the papers updated?
It's just the paperwork, they send it to the attorneys, what they're asking, customer one step, and make sure everything is clearly done, notarization, licensing, and all required paperwork, and then like someone can show what they're working. I know that Simon saying that he worked with them in the past, and does he have any information to share with us in terms of how they work, what they did, what is the outcomes, like before and after, something of that nature. So we say that will give us an idea, because I think most of the time when we come to the RFP, I almost feel like we are putting a knife on the neck and we want it today. I don't like that. That's not very comforting. And I don't know why we have reached into that position for every contract, every agreement. Since I've joined, most of the time I came across that situation. You can't do it today. Otherwise, never. So there is no ample time to review or understand who we are working with the vendor, the quality of differences and all those things. They are missing. So I understand the clutch of issue. We're getting into the season. Definitely, we should not get any roadblocks. At the same time, we need to, at least they need to make, the vendors has to make the basic things.
Okay, and what happens if we miss this deadline?
You have to restart the order.
If we
The project that.
Oh, the project, okay.
You would have to reschedule your start date based on your availability to shut down and do the work. And within your amendment. One of the reasons why we did work with your staff to ensure that everything is held for 365 days here, which is abnormal, but the vendors did submit proposals to that, is because we were expecting this to come in right around spring break time, and we wanted to try and hold their pricing for the board to give you maximum flexibility to determine when you could realistically shut down some of your amenities on a normal basis.
Yes.
Is there a way that we could provisionally, you said, select board, is there a way that we could provisionally vote to approve, the one that's complete, correct? And we all can agree that would be a good way to move forward, the most of us do. But provisionally give the other vendors the opportunity to take another 10 days or a week and maybe meet with Debbie, because of under Debbie's purview. And
I know we know the answer.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, this is a formal bid process, so the kind of silence is in place, which means bidders can't talk to any of the board members until the board makes a decision. Outside of them coming here to present to you and do a formal Q&A.
Can I chime in? So, if the board,
Can I say something, Brian?
let me just get this out real quick. If the board wanted to consider a proposal that they felt good with, subject to, you know, the rest of the submittal of maybe what was missing in the
Right.
RFP, would that be appropriate? Like, hey, we just need confirmations of your licenses, we need your labor counts, you know, and maybe an addendum.
Well, I don't think Meredith's gonna sign the contract unless all the
Yes.
CQs are in order.
I recommend entering into a contract with anyone who I wasn't sure was licensed.
I'm trying to brainstorm.
The board is determined to award today. And you're concerned about whether or not you're looking at apples to apples bids. My one thought that with this board is to piecemeal award the bid.
Okay.
I don't know which of the scopes was first on your schedule.
Yeah, I'm not done with that.
Yeah, and that's.
It just seems to me like, you know, all of the vendors had the same amount of time to address all of the issues and I'm reminded. And I think that's who they are, how they operate and how they will operate. I have no reason to believe that they would operate any differently. Our pool is a pressure cooker, and I fully understand what you're saying, Sam, but our amenities, everything, it's a pressure cooker. Our landscaping, things come up. We have to know that our vendors are able to hop, skip, and jump when something goes sideways, or we need something, or there's some quick change. So a vendor that didn't even address why they didn't address certain items that in an RFP is required, is already kind of, you know, puts a sour taste in my mouth. I'm all for seeing what they can do and, you know, and getting the best deal and whatever, but there's also the performative aspect of the contract, not just the pricing. So to me,
Yeah, objectively,
let's
You're,
give the
you're only
sheriff-
considering really one proposal because there's only one company that actually put forth the effort to fulfill the RFP as much as possible. To your point, Supervisor Nealon, I think we're running still into the issue where we're backlogged by 2 years, so that knife analogy, I totally get. We're making up ground for 2 years in a very short amount of time, and trust me, we're going through a vetting process, we're trying to get as many options as possible, we're trying to build these relationships and get these people in front of you, but there is this sense of, you know, a 2-year timeline that we're just making up ground that, you know, the flight pattern is hopefully after 2 months, we've now satisfied these big items and now the knife to the throat is gonna go away. That's the concept. We're just at the tail end of this.
So what do you propose?
I propose, because remember, when we took over, you were out of date on multiple contracts, your budget was all over the place. We had these big items that had just been neglected for a period of time, and because they're just so bunched up, you're seeing big ticket items that feel like it's being rushed, but we're trying to expedite it as efficiently as possible so that we could just hit the landing strip and start to move forward instead of make it.
No, it's not rushing, there's not ample time to. Because today we are at like what, 6th, right, in 10 days, something has to happen. You don't have it, and the information is not sufficient enough. Sure. I think the government office would have just told them earlier, asking this missing information, would have solved the issue in terms of paperwork, right? And when it comes to the licensing and other part, maybe you are the consultant, should have given a second look at it, what is missing, so this way we won't be in this situation. So we are rushing in, we are going with the half knowledge, and we're kind of like we're doing a wild guess that they will be doing a good job. But if that is the essential part, my word would be no, but when everybody agrees, go for it.
Sure, no, I understand. Okay, yes.
I just want to say that over the last 6 months, that we as a board and as a community and our Artemis team have made such great strides in improving the reviews, the guest experience. I feel like the rental rates are starting to become more steady. We're getting good quality guests overall. And this amenity center is the heart of this resort. And if we are not able to deliver on premium amenities, then all of this work and blood, sweat, and tears that we have all put into this is for naught. Now, Sam, I realize that these quotes are probably higher than what was originally forecasted, because to Brian's conversation, this was an estimate from something that probably should have been addressed about 2 years ago. So there has been inflation involved, but we're also based on homeowner requests and guest experience, talking about enhancing the existing amenities to include heat and lighting, and that was something that was not originally forecasted in that money that was put into reserve somewhere in the $380,000 range. So while this is a little bit more than we had anticipated, we're gonna be able to deliver so much more to our guests and to our homeowners. And I don't think that we can afford to wait. If we wait, these vendors could get bumped out with other contracts that could push things back out for us. And as Karen said, the pool is a pressure cooker. Honestly, I have heard some conversation, well, it's Karen, that the pool may have a leak someplace, and if we end up having an issue related to the integrity of the pool because we are waiting, or we've lost our vendor because they don't have the ability to work with our schedule, then we don't have a resort.
Is anyone,
$453,000 is the number for reserves this year. We budgeted 450.
Okay, and I think 380 from my prior recollection was supposed to be for the pool resurface, so we're above that number, but that was a number that was kind of constructed 2 years ago without putting in heat and adding the additional lighting that we need to be able to expand on our use.
And quite frankly, we have to also be aware of economic indicators. And we are in an inflationary road, and now with oil prices jacking, and who knows, maybe they'll come back, maybe they won't. I think that we have to also realize, yeah, we need to lock it down. Any pricing, yeah.
So good discussions, maybe we're ready for a vote.
Okay, and one more thing that I want to add is when I look at the two pool vendors, they're not even apples to apples. We have one vendor that is in the business of building new pools, and then we have another vendor that's in the business of renovating and refurbishing pools. That Brian has had some other district accounts work with. Simon has been able to legitimize the references and their work, and so I just don't really see where there's another option.
Yeah, at this moment, I think the board's discussed this thoroughly. I'd be open to any votes. If not, we'll just move over.
I'll make a motion
Make a motion.
to approve the pool resurface quote from Vermont. Is it Vermont?
Yep, that was
Okay.
Vermont. So motion to award the RFP to Vermont from Deb. Do I have a second to that motion?
Second.
Second from Supervisor Winford. All in favor?
Aye.
Just need a raise of hands.
Bobby or Sam?
Well, let's finish. Do
Okay.
you want to make some addition, or do you want to take a vote? I feel like we've discussed.
Can we discuss a little bit more?
Please.
Bobby, where are you at?
I'm just not comfortable voting on $500,000 project without seeing some more RFPs and more information from this vendor. It's a lot of money for our community, and I'm not comfortable bidding on something that's not really vetted with one actual vendor.
Okay, and Sam, where are you at? Same thing, okay? You guys both want?
I am in full support. I think that if we delay this or, start nitpicking while we have testimony from Rosetta and from our pool consultant, that we're doing a huge disservice to our homeowners and our guests.
And I've been sitting on this board for several years, I think longer than I ever did than anybody else sitting here. And I've seen things get put off, I've seen things not happen. I'm so grateful for the forward momentum and for everything that we see happening. And I don't want to lose that momentum, and I think it's the right thing to do. Even in any circumstance, especially given what's happening economically, and that we could be staring down the road of a much more expensive numbers the longer we wait.
That's right.
Yeah.
Can I ask real quick, Simon, what's your recommendation? Is he still here?
Yeah, I'm still here. So I think my view is this. So we sent out to anybody that wanted to bid on this job. The RFP was everything was done in accordance to how you wanted it done. So you could go out, if you did go out again, you'd be pushing back another month, whatever happens, and you may not get anybody else replying. I mean, there were 2 or 3 people that requested information but didn't submit anything. It's just it's not an easy job that you're trying to do out there. And obviously, the further you go into the summer, the more complaints you're going to get, because it's not a quiet job. They're going to be out there with jackhammers and all sorts of things, putting lights in and digging up decks and taking all the plaster off the pool. There's going to be a lot of disturbance out there. So the longer you leave it as well, just to bear in mind something that hasn't been brought up, you're going to be getting further and further towards the summer, and then you're going to have people that are going to have all the noise from the work. So obviously making it go further. But yeah, I mean, you could go out and still not get any more RFPs, I guess, is obviously the problem. We sent out and did it, and we got 1.5 really, or not even 1.5. So yeah, I don't know. I've worked with Vimana. I've never seen anything bad work done from them. I've heard good things from them, and I've used them myself in the past, and everything's been fine. So I don't have anything against them. Envy, I don't have anything against, but again, they haven't supplied the information that you need. So you've got the one. You might not get any more, even if you go out and ask people.
Okay, sounds good. Here's my thoughts. I think all 4 of you are right. Everyone's got valid points. I mean, I do think it needs to move forward, so the pool gets done, we protect our money. I do think it's $500,000 that should be, that vendors should be required to do stuff. Sam and Bobby, what would you want to see from this that would get it over a place that you would feel okay? Is it pricing? Is it just the contract?
I mean, for me, it's the sheer cost of the contract, and I honestly, till now have to review this. Yeah, which is my own fault, but as I'm looking over it now, the gas fired pool and spa heater, is that a commercial heater, or is that gonna be another one of these little small heaters that we're replacing in 2 years, or is this the actual commercial heater that we should have had in the first place? Because right now, we have pretty much residential heaters up there, we have 5 of them, and every 2 years we're replacing them. So this proposed gas fired and spa pool heater, is that a commercial one, or is that just a residential, kind of matching what we currently have out there that we're gonna replace in 2 years again?
Okay.
Simon, me and you had talked about this. You had stated that the heaters that were part of the RFP were commercial. Is that correct? Or is that-
BTU 6.
Yeah, so you had the 2 options, I think, was one, we'd looked at doing the geothermal heating, which was like 700,000 or something, 350,000 for a pool and 750 for the river, 350 for the river. And then you had just carrying on with what you have, which is gas and using Raypack cupra nickel heaters, which are a bit more resistant. Now, heaters should have a lifespan roughly 5 to 6 years. And the heaters tend to go wrong because of chemical imbalance. That's really all it is. So the heat, obviously things go wrong, igniters, small repairs, but exchanges and things like that, which are the main part of the heater, they get damaged from the chemicals. The spa heater is always the most prone one to having problems because it's such a small body of water and things go wrong with it. The pool and those kind of things, those heaters you should get 5 to 6 years out, no problem. But using a copper nickel one, it's just more resistant because it has more nickel in it rather than the copper. And that's why if you look at the pool out there, it looks super, super blue. It looks really pretty, but it's not. It's copper, and all the copper from those heaters are on the walls. So, when we tested before, I've given you 4 bids over the last 4 or 5 years at that property, and every time we've tested, it's the same thing, that the alkalinity is too low and the pH is too low, and that's why the heaters get eaten up. But now they're being monitored correctly, and you can see, because we can send you reports every day, and you can see what the chemical readings are. Those heaters should last you, the lifespan that they should. On the flip side, the geothermal heaters, they are pretty much indestructible, but they are an horrific cost up front. But yes, the ones that they're pricing for are commercial grade copper nickel heaters.
What's the warranty on those heaters? Is there any?
No, only 1 year.
1 year, same as everything with the pool. Unfortunately, it's all 1 year. They don't sell an extended warranty, because if you did, 99% of the time, they'll come in and blame chemicals and all this, that, and the other. So, I've done it. I've had it with a pool that we had before, and my guys messed up on the chemicals and they wrecked a heater, and I replaced it. I paid for it. And that's the way that I work. If my guys do something and it's, something they did that was silly, then yeah, it gets replaced. But the heaters for the pool, I don't worry about those. The spas are always the ones that are difficult because the chemical swings are so quick. But yeah, there's 1 year warranty. They will be far superior than the heaters that you have now. Yeah, they're definitely the commercial grade, what you need out there, especially with a pool that size.
Sam, what else would you want?
I want to add something, Ryan, okay? Prior to Sam being on the board and to Karen's recollection, and maybe about the same time we onboarded, we were talking about the reserve study and our amount of money that we put into the reserves for the pool resurfacing was $389,000, I want to say, okay? So I just took this quote in its entirety, 554, and if I just break that down to just the cost of the resurfacing alone, that's only $323,590. So that is actually less than what we had budgeted for. The additional costs are in response to things that guests have been asking for and homeowners have been asking for. And these other things are items that are going to be able to expand and enhance the use of our amenities.
Sure.
So I mean, if you really are looking at apples to apples for the cost of the resurfacing itself versus what we budgeted, it's less than we budgeted. So while Bobby, this number is big and scary, it's really less than what we had previously talked about before the additional enhancements, which are adding the lighting and the
Yeah, but
heating
night swimming.
and
Yeah.
the other features
That's a
that
great point.
people are asking for and looking for. And that's just gonna drive people to our community, which is gonna help us all. So I hope that that kind of breaks it down into a little bit more palatable number. And, be able to deliver some new.
Yeah, sure. So Sam, do you have any issues with the overall number?
No, it's not.
Okay.
I didn't even go to the number.
What else would you want to see?
The same thing, like what we are discussing in a sentence, the same way.
Okay.
Paperwork needs to be done because this, it is $500,000.
Yeah.
And it is extremely surprising, I think you're also there in every board meeting. Every time that we get these bids, somehow I always hear one consistent statement that somehow we did not get enough response. Are we done that? Or are we nothing to pay enough? I don't know. Every time that is the very consistent from the attorney's office that, oh, we didn't really receive enough bids at all. That's been the theme.
Oh,
okay.
Okay, so real quick, can we we talk about, when we put out a bid,
Yeah,
do we just put it and people come find it on the internet? Do we actually go and ask people or vendors, hey, we want to know that this is out there?
so it's read, right? So legally,
Okay.
we have to do the formal RFP process, which then, gets blasted and advertised. So ideally, the vendor that wants to bid on this project is scheduled for the end. And it's unfortunately common where you'll put out an RFP maybe even several times and still get one or two, maybe three proposals back. So, it's a very limited process.
Okay.
And all you can do is continue to do it again.
I think the Farm Sunshine Law actually prevents you from being able to send it to specific vendors because then that would show some favoritism.
The concept applies to the board, meaning vendors can't approach board members or staff and have independent conversations about the bid or the RFP package when we're in the formal bid process. The formal bid process starts when the notice is published. They can email, your staff and request a copy of the RFP, absolutely. Ideally, that's happening. But the homicide.
No, previously actually Brad were able to issue Vijay and also interviewed Artemis. Remember for the,
That's right.
yeah, you could able to issue that. I don't think that's illegal at all because it's one board member, not everybody. So once you receive the bids, to understand them a little bit more clear, you did that.
Yeah, I did that because I think there were so many homeowners that were very involved in there to try to just open up transparency.
Yeah, it's always a good possibility. Yeah.
Well, that's a big decision.
I think on this one, I mean, theoretically, you have one vendor that actually got close to possible what we wanted. The price doesn't
It's
seem to
not
be an issue.
unreasonable.
No, the price seems right on track. I guess my thought would be, Sam, is there an option that we could approve it on the conditions that they would get the items that we'd like to see within 15 days or?
No, and it's,
Can that be done?
Of course, there was evaluation criteria published as part of the RFP
Yeah.
that the board does have to rank them on. It's a minimum qualifications pass fail, and I think your staff's going to print this for you right now. I apologize, I didn't realize that was not in front of you. Personnel and equipment that they provide to you in their proposal is 15 points. Experience of the proposer is 25 points. Financial capability, which they prove out within the RFP package itself to you all, including providing evidence of insurance coverage, which was of that nature, is 10 points. Their schedules, which they were supposed to provide to you, are 25. And their price, overall reasonableness, there's not a funky math formula or anything, just overall reasonableness is 25. This evaluation criteria is what should be directing your conversation. And again, I apologize, I didn't realize about that. I think
They're printing it out now.
I didn't realize it wasn't in front of you.
All right, with that being said, that how many points have they got out of 10?
It's up to the board to decide.
No, or you calculate 10% for 10 points for. I'm asking.
She's gonna give it time, so you can see it.
No, according to you. No.
I didn't assign points.
She doesn't.
This is just now minimum qualifications is a pass fail. That's what Savannah and I look at for you all. So when we say, look, we can't find evidence that they're authorized to do business in Florida in their package or independently. We can't find that they hold all required state and federal and local licenses, either in their package or independently. That legal sufficiency, that pass fail is what we look for because we're not scope experts, right? We defer to your staff for that, as far as personnel and experience and things of that nature. So we don't provide scores for you. The points are maximum available points that the board can know.
So according to your evaluation for, just for your point of view, for only pertaining to your team, say, so premiums, it's not right.
So based on the legal sufficiency analysis, we were able to determine that Vermont did meet the minimum requirements.
Right.
We were not able to determine either through their documentation or independently that any schools met the minimum. From legal sufficiency. Yes.
Yeah.
Right, what would you estimate our initial efficiency gas and electric to be by, believe me for a minute?
Yes.
I think we talked about that, Simon. I think it was roughly 50,000 for the additional gas, for propane that we would use a year.
I mean, if you, the amount of gas, yeah, your gas is all dependent on the weather. So like last year, so we had 63 days below 40 degrees last year. This year, we haven't had anywhere near that. So your gas usage last year would probably be more than what it is this year. So you can roughly guess at what it is, but it depends on what you're going to heat the pool at. Are you going to, if we get a colder winter, if we get a longer summer, when we turn the heaters on. So it's hard. The heaters aren't going to make any difference in the amount of gas that you use. So the heaters you've got now are no more efficient than the others. So whatever heaters you have, you're going to use the same amount of gas. It's all dependent on how windy it is and how cold it is. Because if you have a windier year, you'll do more. Like if you were to shut the rock wall off for more hours during the day, you would keep more heat in the pool. The rock wall loses so much heat, and well, with the slide, the rock wall takes away a lot of the heat out of the pool. So yeah, there's a lot of things you can do to actually lower your gas, but you also lose things at the pool. So the gas really won't change by changing the heaters. It's all dependent on the weather.
Yeah. So I would assume that it would be heated to the same temperature as the main pool, which is set at what, Simon, 80?
I don't know what you actually want the pool heated at, so we haven't got to that point where we make a decision of what you want. I mean, most resorts heat their pools to like 84, 85, 86. That's what most places heat them to. So yeah, it all depends on what you want to heat them to, you know.
So it's missing, Sam, it's missing a project schedule. There's not a timeline, right, in this proposal? I didn't see it.
There's for which one?
For brand,
They partially fulfilled that, so they included a timeline for the lazy river, but I didn't see one for the pool and spa.
So we need to get a clear timeline there. Is there any
personal, like, there's a personal schedule?
The lazy river was in their actual proposal documents, let me get to that page.
Also, another thing as well, these guys won't be able to pull any of your permits if they don't have the license. So they won't even be able to pull a permit without the relevant licenses. So
we have the license. Was there anything else, Sam, that was missing? The employees, the timeline for completion, the insurance?
The insurance documents are in here.
Or for any, not NV didn't have insurance. Anything else?
I can quickly go through the things that we're missing for Vermont.
Yes, well.
So the proposed staffing level, so they gave their management and who the supervisor would be, but they didn't give a staffing level like specific to this project. Their narrative description of their approach to provide the service, it was partially included, but it wasn't fully detailed out. They did not include a letter of qualification from their insurance company or an acceptable bank to form and like a demand note to show that they had the financial capability, or they did provide insurance or any other. They did not provide any other relevant information regarding financial capability. And Sandra is printing out that criteria in a scoring sheet to pass it right now.
Split the TV over a little, so it's a little easier to see from Brian Van, I'm sure, on down there. Right, but with
This way you're gonna be grading them on, so essentially, NV is gonna be a fail off of the qualifications, so you're gonna be scoring Vermont on their capability on a maximum total points of 100 points. You don't have to award the full 100 points. This is based on their proposal that they submitted.
Okay, and then after we do these points, what happens at that point?
You can take a vote to move forward.
Okay.
Yeah. There it is.
Thank you for hearing this.
Of course.
Thank you.
There's the back, there's the back side on the
Page. There's a jar full on the.
I can grab pens. Let me get that.
Okay.
Thanks.
It's a credit, but thanks.
I can tell, I mean, you're all on your right.
It's in my police cars. Well, I only slept 2 hours, so I woke up and I got in the shower and I'm like, time for a meeting.
Yeah, right.
So I'll put me. And then qualifications. So you guys said they do have a minimum qualification.
Yes, for Vermont.
We couldn't.
Unable to find it.
Schedule and safe of free, setting to
I'm council.
And just say which company is which when you are scoring them.
70.
Well, we only have one spreadsheet.
It's, there's the bubble.
Yeah.
The other ones, but I guess you could still rank them.
Yeah, the other one. There's only one that.
Some information.
So you have to give the full thing.
That's in the two instructions.
75.
You do not have the award.
It's only one.
And the MD did not submit their.
Do me a favor, just write which one it is. Or specifically.
That's it. Yeah. Okay. The, how do you spell it?
BBR.
Thank you, Mr. Governor. Take yours, thank you, my good man. Thank you. Vermont, Oh, there's a T? You're kidding me? Okay. Vermont, huh? I'm calling them.
Because on the tab, the documents are month.
I blame myself. You want me to wait for Rachel?
No, you're right.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to read into the record the vote count. Do I have to confirm who it's from?
Yes.
Okay. Let me confirm because there is no name on this one. Make sure I got everybody's account.
You want me to come find my chicken scratch?
I believe. Okay, no. 1, 2, 3, 4.
You forgot to put your name on your paper.
I did.
I think I got this. So this is you, Bobby.
Yes, sir.
All right, and this is supervisor me. All right, so, reading into the record, the voting count here for the RFPs for pool resurfacing. Supervisor Nilo has ranked Romano, on a 15-point personnel and equipment, 0 points for experience, 0 points for financial capability, 25 points for schedule, and 25 points for pricing, for a total of 65 points. Supervisor Hyam has rated,
What about MB?
there was no rating.
Okay, so we'll just.
Was that intended to
Zero.
be on zero, Supervisor Nemo?
Okay.
Sam, I'm sorry.
Zeros for the other.
For MB pools.
Yeah. Zeros, yep. Zeros for MD. Supervisor Hyam has ranked Vermont, 0 points for personnel and equipment.
Because I don't really care how many people it takes to do the job, just do the job.
Sure, 0 points, 25 for experience, 5 for financial capability, 20 for schedule out of 25 points, and 25 for price, and with a total of 75 points. And then NV has received 0 for personnel, 0 for experience, 0 for financial capability, 0 for schedule, 15 for price, for a total of 15 for NV. Supervisor Winker has rated Vermona on a total of 115 points for personnel, 25 for experience, 10 for financial capability, 15 for schedule, and 25 for points, giving us a total of 90 points. And NV has received a 0. Supervisor Mert has rated Vermona 15 out of 15, 20 out of 25 for experience, 10 out of 10 for financial capability, 12.5 for schedule, and 20 out of 25 for pricing, with a total of 77.5 for Vermona. And V rated 10 out of personnel, 15 for experience, 5 for financial capability, 0 for schedule, 10 for pricing, with a total of 40. And Supervisor Boissard has ranked Vermona for personnel and equipment, 10 out of 15, experience 25 out of 25, 5 out of 10 financial capability, 10 out of 25 for schedule, and 20 out of 25 for pricing, for a total of 45, 50, 60, 70 points.
And actually, pool for the record, 0.
0.
Zero.
And V 0.
So the total.
Total points for everybody? Oh, thanks. There you go. Yeah. I appreciate that.
So total points for Mana was awarded 377.5. And V was awarded 55.
But based on that alone, I think that there's only one decision that we all really need to make.
So this is, well, the ranking is now, Vermona is ranked number 1 based on scoring, and V Pools is ranked number 2, based on scoring.
Is that the motion we're looking for to rank them?
Yes, this should be a motion to, if the board wants, it would be a motion to approve the ranking as read. Vermona ranked at number 1, 377.5 points, and Newpool second with 55 points.
I'll make the motion.
Motion from Supervisor Winker,
Second.
second from Supervisor Boissard. All in favor? Opposed?
No.
Opposed, Supervisor Neal?
Yes.
For the record. All right, 4-1, motion does carry.
I thought we were moving on that.
Bear with me.
No, that's just voting on, that's just.
That's the ranking.
That we all came up with. So we all came up with those rankings. So
If
now
that's an
we're,
acceptable ranking, then we would be looking.
Yeah, but that is going to be moved in the,
Yes.
the bid.
right, but so are you in agreement that the numbers add up and know that we didn't?
Yeah, we're voting on taking numbers sound good,
Right.
not are we hiring them? So we all voted yes and voted no.
No, I changed.
Oh, okay.
It's a 5.
I agree.
All right, 5.
So then Debbie had already previously, or the vice chair had previously made a motion to award the RFP to Vermona, who is ranked number 1 right now. Supervisor Winker seconded that. That's still a motion that's acting on the table for the board to consider at this time. You do have your ranking as Vermona 1 and V Pools 2
Yeah.
based on the evaluation criteria provided in the formal RFP. But it is at the discretion of the board whether or not to move forward with the award at this time.
Can I make a motion that we approve it on the condition that the 4 items that are missing? No, we can't do it, so that's not done. We have to approve it or not.
I mean, you've ranked them based on what you have available
That's right.
to you now. As far
Like, we don't have a project management schedule in here. So they could take 6 years and there's nothing we can do about it. Okay,
as
Then,
contractually,
can we request, that consultant will get the information?
Right.
Maybe.
I would think so. If I'm just looking into project, I'm like, hey, we need this, we need that.
and so what we would do, if it's the board's pleasure, is request those items from your number 1 ranked proposer Sabina and I will attempt to enter, contract with them, based, based on the district's form of agreement, which Vermont has signed at other districts, so I don't anticipate it'll be a problem here. Then you will have your standard termination language that you are comfortable with and is going to be enforced. So if there's something that comes back in the schedule or what have you, that you are uncomfortable and do not want to continue with Vermont, you terminate and you reassess what the board needs.
And look at it. Awesome. Thank you. That's a big fact.
In our form of agreement for this project that was published with the RFP, so they know about it, we'll start this project on X date and you will end by X date. So we can hold them to that as well.
Perfect.
That was our penalty, actually, but you can't complete the job in that time. There are penalties for that.
Contract. I do believe we can discuss that.
Yeah, that's a good idea. To protect us.
I don't think we put on liquidated damages in the contract, but I do believe we have a withholding.
Just based on not having a schedule, it'd be nice to, have some type of financial responsibility for us, should they not complete, since we're gonna be losing funds during our main center during that period, if they're extending their timeframe without
We can
due
withhold,
cause.
we can withhold on deficiency and we can discuss the liquidated damages provision. That would be engaged in contracting.
So the motion from Supervisor Hyam and Supervisor Winker is still on the table, awarding the RFP to the highest ranking proposer.
Yes.
I will take a vote at this time, all in favor, show of hands,
This is for,
for moving forward and awarding Vermont the award.
That would be, the contract would be the district's form of agreement, which again, if there are any issues that the board sees as far as scheduling, or they're unable to provide the same information that the board would like to see, the board can then terminate that contract and we can reassess where we need to be in the future, either a different proposer, go through this process again, or maybe award in smaller increments to.
and that would happen at some point in time. Within-
We'll know, we'll let the board know as soon as we have a contract with them. Brian and his team will work to get the information that the board is.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I would support that based on Meredith's recommendations that, and we check all of their references, the timeframe, schedule all those formats and evidence, and go forward with them.
Okay, so let's continue the vote then, all in favor, show of hands for purpose, all right, opposed, motion.
Well, we are all
Yeah, right. All right, so we will get, hard at work here, board. I will definitely be moving on this in the upcoming week to get all these necessary documentations.
The sooner the better. Thank you.
Yesterday.
Yes, sir.
All right, let's move on, okay? Jumping into landscape updates, board, you now have Sunscape's, regular inspection reports provided. Sunscape's reports on tab 1. We put them under landscape. Yes, so basically now this is, moving forward, your Sunscape consultants and the vendor Yellowstone meet on property once a month and review and discuss any needed deficiencies throughout the property that they're working on. So you see here's some urgent items. So at this point, we'll just work with the vendors. So item 4 on the Sunscape report, contractors required to provide fungicide application for the cold damage vegetation. How's that going?
It's gonna be scheduled, it's in the schedule
Okay.
to be applied.
I think part of the schedule according to the recommendation.
Correct, but, it would be better if we do it, when the cutbacks have been done. However, in their statement, they could to do cutbacks, based on our detailing schedule. So that's gonna take some time, obviously. We have 4 detailing routes. We split it in a month. Every week that the team's here, they complete an area. So if they're expecting us to do the cutbacks, we're gonna be taking a while to get to those cutbacks. I did send him a proposal to do cutbacks on all the
cold damage plants and remove the Ixoras, because Ixoras are not gonna be cleaned by that. Very unlikely that the Ixoras are gonna be coming back. So that proposal, had labor and a dump fee to remove all of the plants and do cutbacks at one time. Yeah. Obviously, if we're gonna go with the detailing schedule, then it's gonna take us some time to do cutbacks.
So I walked the property just a few days ago with Sunscape and went through everything and, yeah, we are recommending a few things, with regard to cutbacks to kind of push that back just a little bit, give them a chance to recover from what happened. Overall, it was surprising, like even the firecracker looks like it's coming back. Our resort, even though, yes, of course, we had some damage and some loss, but we did relatively well. By what, from, even the bird of paradise seems to be coming back, everything. And even some of the Ixora, we saw signs of new sprouts coming in some of them. So I definitely agree with them. The other issue is that, we do want to cut back a lot of things that, just definitely not coming back. But in terms of replacing, I just want to manage expectations. Along with us, all of the nurseries were wiped out. Wiped out. And demand is as high as it's ever been. So it's really a fool's game to go in there and to buy all new plants and install all new plants, especially with hurricane season coming up. Because you put in a plant, it doesn't have time to take root, winds come, pulls it right out of the ground, boom, it's over. So we'd be paying the highest price at a very dangerous time to start putting these plants on the ground, and they are saying that we're gonna have a really good hurricane season this year to make up for last year's non-existent one. So I think that the best way forward, and I'm the first one to say, oh, let's spend money on landscaping. But right now, I think the idea is we have to move forward conservatively. And we have to say, you know what? We've got some projects further to what we were discussing before. This amenity center is the cornerstone of our community, the front gate and this amenity center. Those are the two most important things. So I'd rather make sure that even from a landscaping point of view or whatever we do, that we focus on those two things in terms of any extraneous budget expense, any budget that we have. Wait until the prices of nursery material settles down. Wait until the plants have a chance to say, hey, don't bury me, I'm still alive.
100% agree with you, and that's why, the cleanup cutbacks already started in the clubhouse. When you come into the clubhouse, those tree nets that had fall damage, they cut back. If you take a look around the pool, the tree nets on all of the areas here have started cutting back. We cleaned up the premium lilies. The team still has some areas in the lazy river that we still need to come back and clean up. We've removed dead plants from your pots. I put all of the efforts as much as I can into the clubhouse, because I know this is, this is your guest. You want your guests to be happy, and this is, number one, most of the area where the customers are gonna come and spend more time here. So that we've already started here. Our next session is gonna be your entrance, and then we move forward as the boulevard.
Vicky, have you communicated with Sunscape that you guys are putting a pause on this fungicide application? Have we addressed that with them?
So we did put some fertilizer down.
Okay,
So from a horticulture standard.
That's two different things.
And I want to explain, the reason behind that is because fertilizer is what's gonna push up new growth.
nurse.
On a plant that's already been damaged, from the freeze, the fungicide is not that beneficial to the plant because it's still recovering from the damage. A lot of your articola, a lot of your plant material are hollow. There's nothing inside of them, they're completely dead. Sure. If they do come back, it is gonna be a very long time for them to grow back. Some of them may respond, some of them not. So I do want to make a mention that we were very conservative on the cost for the cutback. We took into consideration the time that's already spent and invested on our property that was going to be here anyway. I know he didn't include it, but just as a reference, on the property, it's about half the size we usually charge around 6,000 to 7,000. And for the entire property, that's what we were. Just so you have a understanding of how competitive we are with that price, because you're gonna have some properties that are like, no, let's wait. But then, of course, you have to explain that to all the residents, and it may be months. And the reason that's the case is because our goal is to keep your property looking good at all times. And if we invest in just cutting back, then everything else gets left to not being done. So, and that's what we don't want to happen.
The only thing I want to be, adamant about, I need you to communicate with them, because essentially they are the director of landscaping now, right? We're helping them, but I need this communication. As long as it's being done, I'm cool. I just want them to know if you have some pushback on some of their comments, communicate with them directly, let them know what you're working on so that they can have approval. Because ideally, I'm supposed to go through this list and it's supposed to be, yep, that was done, yep, that was done, yeah, that was done.
So we will be doing the fungicide. And again, it's not a delay on our part at all. It's beneficial. Again, I have a horticulture standard, that I work with the University of Florida. I've been a certified pest control operator for 15 years. So I will go over with, Jeff and Mark as soon as it's been completed. The fertilization on the junipers and the brodies and the potash, everything else has been completed.
Satisfied? Nice.
Yeah.
That answers my question.
This was, and thank you for bringing that up, because the list was just provided, like less than a week ago.
It was, February 23rd it was provided, so it's been a couple days.
Okay, quick question.
Yes, the 23rd.
Yeah, the 23rd.
And we put in service calls already for everything with the fungicide. And again, we put it.
There's a learning curve too. I'm not gonna beat you up. It's a new relationship. I totally get it.
Right.
We're learning how to communicate now that we have some cross references.
And sometimes it's two different processes too. You don't always have budget fertilization. It's two different, yes.
I just had a super quick question.
Sure.
Who chose the annuals out front right now?
That came from Solterra.
Okay. I love them.
Yeah.
They're beautiful colors. That's what we
Yeah,
did.
and, but, speaking about the annual, we were, and I'm not sure if you guys were informed, but we were directed not to install anymore. They're running out of specs, so they don't want annuals in those spaces.
So, two quick questions. The first thing is the moss. We've got moss choking out trees, plants, actually 3 questions. Choking out the trees, but everything else, and that's gotta be gone. It's now going down to the cookie ponds. It's gonna choke everything out. And I understand that everything that's over 12 feet in height becomes an arborist issue, but it should never get there anyway. And moss is the kind of thing that grows exponentially. So even if you do it, you miss a little piece, it's gonna become something. So it's got to be part of an ongoing maintenance thing. We can't keep waiting until it's choking everything out before we find the remedy is far more costly than the maintenance.
And I appreciate you bringing that up, because on my previous direction, I was told it's an extra item to be, but how new direction?
Let me explain this one. So typically, to be honest with you, moss is not included in that. And the reason being is because it's an item that sometimes appears, it doesn't. We're not opposed to doing it. But again, it's mainly done when you do the trimming of the tree, which has not been done, which is coming up on our thing now. And the reason for that is, again, I just want to say that it's very super time consuming to go in and take out the moss. So it's more beneficial in a better time management and a better cost effective way to trim the tree and lift the tree, because the moss is then taken with those cuts. as opposed to someone handling the knot. Now, I have given them directive that anything that we can reach that's within arm's length that we're walking by, we will pull that out of the tree. But I just want to make sure there's a clarification that we're not going to be like getting in the tree and pulling everything out because that's kind of common.
And that's a comment, when are we gonna do something about the trees along the boulevard that are dead?
Beth, you're gonna be considering in a second.
Yeah, we have one for that, we presented and virus presented.
And second thing is the bougainvillea that, the bougainvillea had a really rough time throughout the community.
Yeah.
With the freeze. I don't know whether it's coming back. We don't know that yet. But I think that the bougainvillea and the pots out by the gate and, we know that we have no irrigation up by the gas station. So we've got to figure that out. But those pots up by the front gate are irrigated, and yet the bougainvillea, which actually requires very little, did not do well at all. I will say, that our little pots out here and in the front are lemon trees. I don't know if you noticed. It's full of blossoms.
Come on.
We're gonna have lemons this summer. We're gonna have actual lemons. It's like absolutely mind-boggling. So,
I think the cold actually is like, it's amazing how like after the cold pass and we got some rain and some sun, like some of the plants are even more happier. Like it was like maybe like hey, we can do better. Like,
right, exactly. And the rosemary. The rosemary did amazingly well. And it's in the jasmine.
Have you seen
And
it?
the jasmine. Right, so we made some great choices, guys, and it worked for the weather that we got. Also, I was scared because, we all know that I live in Denver. I was scared, oh God, Denver is gonna take it down. It's gonna die. It flourished in the cold weather. It did so well. And Sunscape actually said, I think we need to double up on it. If we're going to install it in other places in the community, for the privacy and the things that we need to double up on the density, or at least do 2 tiers of it, offset. So that it gives a thicker feeling. Now, it's gonna thicken up, it's gonna take about a year for it to do so, but it seems to thrive, hot weather, cold weather, dry, humid, things to do really, really well. So thrilled about that. The Alamanda, not so much. But, so we're gonna probably have to rethink we're gonna have to rethink our palette of plants, look at what survived, look at what thrived, and move forward in that direction. Those pots, I don't know why the bougainvillea didn't do well there even before this freeze. It should have done extraordinarily well. But I'm thinking maybe rosemary with something cascading down, maybe the jasmine, because it also did so well. And if we can get a kind of jasmine that's gonna cascade down, the flowers and cascades and that kind of thing, it's a nice entrance. Now, one thing, and I'm loath, I understand that plants and trees are sentient beings. That's where I start from. I also understand I have a responsibility to this community. And we've got oak trees in the pool amenity area. Oak trees, they shed like crazy. And they shed into the pool, into the area. Right now, we've got that big sand area where we're looking at doing
The playground.
the playground where, that's going away. So I'm not gonna call it the playground.
Beach club.
The beach club, thank you. So the beach club is not a place for oak trees. It's just gonna keep messing up the sand and everything else. I think that unfortunately, we need to remove those oak trees.
We'll be looking for a proposal for that next meeting. Okay, removing the oak trees in the where the playground exists. Yeah. So let's talk about our pruning. So we've had a couple of discussions on, the needed pruning in our trees throughout the community. You had two proposals, well, three, sorry. You had three proposals. Let me scroll in here. Your first one, so Yellowstone, did you guys not put a proposal for hardwood?
We did, they didn't include it.
Okay, all right.
We were a little bit more, we have a certified arborist by the ANSI standards, so I'm assuming maybe they didn't include it.
No, that's fair. So your pricing was higher.
It was a little bit higher.
Okay. Well, so in that note, then considering your hardwood pruning, which, this is 322 hardwood trees in common areas to achieve a, elevation clearance of 8 to 10 feet over sidewalk turf areas, clearance from structures, lighting of 3 to 5, remove dead wood. You see the scope before you for a total of $29,495. Your budget amount for this, so we would be pulling from your line landscape replacement plants and shrubs. You spent as of December, $12,298 in that line item out of $116,000. So definitely have it in the budget to get your hardwood prunings along with your palm.
What's the time frame from start to finish on 322 trees?
That's the buyer I have.
Yeah, this is a different vendor.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
I would expect from experience 2 weeks,
Okay,
if then.
okay. No, it's like $91 per tree, which is fantastic.
Yeah, perfect.
And it is.
I worked with a buyer before.
Ryan,
Yes,
a personal text message.
I know. I can't cut it.
If you don't want it.
I'm gonna start sitting.
Is that your wife?
The
Yeah.
Yellowstone contract doesn't include pruning up to.
Up to down.
Okay, because this Enviro, tree service, it says clearance of 8 to 10 feet over sidewalks. So if they're gonna be doing things that are already included in our Yellowstone contract, we shouldn't be paying extra for that.
So this is like a hard pruning, right? They're just going to do like lifts, which they should be doing. To your point, maybe there is a, revision on the scope possibly. But from my experience for pruning, they're actually gonna like thin up the tree.
No, this is, we required.
And I've worked with Enviro before, they're.
I just saying you don't put trees over the mountain.
Yeah.
Broadway? Yeah.
I'll verify.
Inside one,
Verify.
it's, it's, 8 feet.
These time it goes over 12 feet and they've changed this scope to arborist.
So these would be the same trees that they're talking about.
No, they're gonna be proposing in a second the palms.
Are you gonna identify and mark these 322 trees so that we don't have an overlapping of work being done?
Great question. So Yellowstone is proposing on palm trees
Okay,
and Enviro is your hardwood trees.
all right, perfect.
So to avoid the overlap there.
Perfect.
So, yes,
Can I say one quick thing? So our price is more, but the scope is very different. We're up to 16 feet, which is recommended over roadways for UPS trucks, delivery trucks. So this is not an apples to apples quote, just so you know.
what's your total price?
Ours was, 39,000 to do it in the 16-foot.
But you're subbing it out to an arborist, you're not doing it yourself.
That was the requirement from.
Yes, you're using the certified arborist that I've been working with for many years.
So how much is the markup of using a third party?
It's actually, they give us 10% off, so it would be 20, but to be honest with you, we give them such a high volume that it's only 10% to you. That's how we do some of our markup. So if they give us 10% off, we pass the savings on to you and we mark it up 10% on top of what they would be. So the 20% markup.
Is that quote's not in here, you're saying?
No, they didn't include it, but I would like an opportunity.
Can it be printed so that it can be passed around?
And I do want to clarify that their scope is different. They said they're going up to 16 feet and this quote is only going 8 to 10.
Yeah.
Or 12.
Well, that's why I'm asking, can we get it printed
8 to 10.
so that we can look at it and
I
read?
defer to the printer controller.
I agree with Brian, I think before we Jeff sends out everything, that we should meet with them and, because to my surprise, I didn't even know this. He hadn't even considered us. He never mentioned the fact that he didn't consider us, but, you know, that's a conversation we can have with Jeff and Mark.
Yeah,
Let's take that.
we're trying to limit having, you know, essentially 7 proposals for landscape and trying to condense it to, you know, to what's on the table now. What you could do to keep it simple is do a not to exceed at Yellowstones, because I think we want to do the hardwood, or the hardwood pruning and the palm prunings for that matter. So you could do a not to exceed, and then we could verify if this scope is incorrect. Because from my experience in Biro, when they're doing the tree trimming, they're gonna fully prune out the trees. I don't expect, you know, them to just come knock off a foot of branches for $29,000. And I know Sunscape worked with this specifically, so what I don't have at my disposal is this recommended by Sunscape for a specific reason, and is there a scope that I'm not understanding?
Or
Or
anything we can reach out to this
Sunscape?
landscape real quick and that's them.
My personal opinion is you're not gonna be happy if it's only 10 foot. They're not listing it enough for most of these trees, and then to come back in the case of letting to come back and do them all at the recommended height is gonna cost you twice as much money. So my recommendation would at least be 12, 14, and then we both compare to the 7 bid for that.
While Brian's on the phone, is there any way we can get the proposal frankly, so that we can.
I can do that.
What?
Yeah.
Let's go.
Recommendations or maybe different.
Yeah.
From environment, the board, Yellow's gonna put it on the folder for roughly 30 years. And advisor is coming in with no issue. So. Was this scope being incorrect? Was that recommendation of you guys? Give us one.
I'm pruning in here. Up to 10 feet. I start saying, well, if I'm pruning, it's only like 8 to 10 feet. So I don't pay for that. I mean, there's no. We place the quality being very high. I would send it.
Yeah. And that's the goal.
Which way to go?
So question for you. Now, the other school is, yeah, contract, Yellowstone, they're required to do. So, is this different? You know,
Yeah, it's true. I mean,
yeah.
you know, but we had to lift those things. Remember they were saying, we got the friend.
Yeah.
Those were just taking it down. No, we can't. It's so cute. You know, so that we have to, I think it's like.
Okay.
And doing this, and like, just our down, and the beach ball is the background, gives us. You know, narrative. Can we propose all these on?
Doing good.
We're going to take a break. It's 11:43 and we'll announce when they break the scene. Yes.
Back to the-
All right, we're back. Hello, everybody. We have resumed the meeting at 12:07. Bear with me. Oh, 12:07 PM. All right. So, the discussion is back to the hardwood pruning. So, we have the printed out proposal from Yellowstone. Beside you. Yellowstone has provided the correct scope. And, from my call with Sunscape, Enviro is matching the same scope. The discrepancy here that we're seeing between the 8 to 10 feet and the 16 feet elevation. The hardwoods along, Solterra Boulevard will be elevated to 16 feet per both scopes. The idea there for, emergency vehicles and all that.
Can you put that back on the street?
Yeah, let me,
Thank you.
all right. I'm gonna jump in that in a second, bear with me, because this is now a screen that I have to take over, there we go. All right, so, in this proposal, you do have apples to apples, what the issue is, Enviro failed to put a category for the 16-foot elevation, but it is covered under the current agreement. So I think the most effective thing to do is take a motion on approving a not to exceed of $29,495.
I got a motion to approve, $29,495.
All right,
Second there.
your second from Supervisor Fire, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. So what we will do as staff is, before we move forward with any approvals and payments, we will make sure that the scope is addressed as stated. All right,
Thank you.
let's jump into, bear with me.
Are we jumping away from landscaping or?
No, We're gonna jump into your palm prunings
Okay.
right now. So simultaneously to your hardwood, your oak trees, you also have some palm pruning proposals. And here is that list. Now, what I've just been discussing with Yellowstone is, in addition to our proposal here, we want to make sure that we do the fertilization simultaneously, which is roughly $800. Let's see if I have that proposal readily available.
Removing 18 ponds, that's supposed to be like,
Yeah, so those are your, specialty homes. I believe they're gonna go with someone else because they want specifically, shaped like a centipede.
So they have a company that they've used in the past that specifically shaped the canary day palms to look like they're supposed to. So we had to remove those and they're gonna give you a proposal. They didn't tell us.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Well, yeah, sorry, Sunscape, but I don't know who the vendor is that's doing that, the canary day palm improvement. I haven't met.
So this is no longer valid.
No, that's good. We removed the day palms, which means we're not charging.
Yeah, moving the palm,
Okay.
removing the.
We're moving the.
Thank you, Frank.
Yeah, I wasn't holding it on.
No.
I just.
No.
So, this is the other aspect of annual pruning. We do want to recommend, we recommend, approving this. This is a fair price. I know they bid it against the other contracts, so I would imagine they came in higher since we only see one.
Can you scroll down so I can look at the proposal?
Yes.
So, yeah, it's like $51 a tree.
I need that proposal number.
Oh,
You gotta go down to the.
This is a different proposal.
here, 65328.
Proposal number should be.
Motion to approve, proposal 653280.
Second.
Second from Supervisor Winter, all in favor?
Okay.
Opposed? Motion.
So these are all the ones in the entire resort, not just limited to the amenities. You know, we have 482 saving palms here.
Correct.
We have 482 for
Correct.
correct.
All your CDDs.
And then the only thing to go in addition with this motion before I take a vote is a not to exceed amount of $800 to also apply the fertilization while they're working on the pruning for the farms. All right, now I will take a
Was that a landscape recommendation?
yes, yeah, we called them. So we have a motion from Supervisor Roy Sar approving proposal 653280 with a not to exceed of $800 to include fertilization of the palms. And a second from Supervisor Winker, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries, bear with me. Back to you for general update.
So there's updates, and then we have one more proposal too, if you wanted to
Alright.
decide. It's
Yeah, go over
just
it.
so we could
Hit it.
go through this one. So I'll explain this area. Basically, it's out front, it's your focal area. All the sod is pretty much already dormant. Crabgrass was already not doing well. It makes it feel a little bit better that the recommend to do replacement. You also have put in the sidewalk, and due to the sidewalk and some other additions, you have a kind of liability issue where you have a tear off from the sidewalk to where the sod is. It's a pretty big of a gap, significant of gap. So we had talked with Jeff and we recommended to him, which he agreed, that we should remove the sod completely, spray it out first, done the right way, by removing all the crabgrass and the mejea, and then replace it with soil and then put the sod back so we can, curb it back up to the new sidewalk.
How does this, Brian,
Yep.
how does this mesh with our looking at, that whole front area being astroturf?
So this would not collide, Karen. The proposal is for like the front section.
It's straight as where the circle roundabout is and the circle roundabout. The proposed area for the artificial was more towards the, around the volleyball court.
Yeah.
Do we want to, since they're gonna be out here anyway, presumably if we vote on it, or vote for it, if we do the turf surrounded, green space around the, and bocce ball and all of that, around the sand volleyball, while they're out here doing that install, and, you know, further to the reason why I think it's a good idea to move in that direction is, number one, we have irrigation issues, we have soil issues, we now have freeze issues, we have chinch bugs, pesticides, herbicides, all this other type of stuff that we have to maintain on an ongoing basis versus the AstroTurf. And it would complete like an entire carpeted area right in front of the amenity center that would always be green. That would always be walkable, that would always be lush looking. And even though it's more expensive up front than just throwing down some sod, over the long haul, huge savings to the community. So I'm wondering if including that section in any bid work that we do before we vote to do this, if that might make sense.
Yeah.
Opposed to going forward with this now and then.
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head in the sense of, I think we have some irrigation issues that we're battling through. And if, before we move forward with any sod replacements, I think we need to figure out what's going on with irrigation. And then at which point we could simultaneously look at if there's need for permits, for, turf in that area for artificial turf. And, kind of vet out what that process is gonna look like versus St. Augustine.
Right. We have we do have a water problem here in Solterra. And apparently our CDD and our HOA are taking the water from the same line. And we've had issues in the past where there's not ample communication between HOA landscaping, CDD landscaping, when the water schedules are, and you're in the process now of coordinating those schedules because, and homeowners have been complaining about, how come the water and this and that, whatever. So I think that while we're working on that, it still underscores the issue that if the HOA's irrigation is running, CDDs can't be running at the same time, otherwise somebody is gonna lose water pressure and it's not gonna be done properly. So, and then we've got, you know, and this is not for our edification, but for the homeowners who don't understand, you know, who are new and haven't been apprised of this, they're like, well, why can't you control our own irrigation? Well, because you might under the water, blah, 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 and we don't know when you're gonna pull from. And also the county keeps changing our watering dates, amounts, timeframes. So we do need to have one person who is the point person, Joe, who is coordinating all the landscapers and everything else. The more that we can take off that plate, the better off we are.
Karen, I'm not opposed to astroturfing in part of that area, but I think we need to have a comprehensive plan of what we want to do with that space first, because it wouldn't make sense to put it in and then decide that we're going to put games in and then start tearing it back.
100%.
So
100%.
I'd like to kind of see what you know, a proposal or blueprint would look like to kind of enhance that space with some horseshoes and bocce ball and stuff, and then put the turf around that with some seating and some benches.
We're
and
already
stuff.
there.
Okay.
And you should have it for next month's meeting.
Correct, yes, you
Yeah,
are.
and then I would, happily take a look
Yeah.
at what that looks like.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be something, it's gonna be a comprehensive proposal with renderings and everything else, so we can see what we're getting for the money. We can see how much it's gonna cost up front, and if we have time, hopefully, we can also give an estimate of, you know, how much are we paying to maintain these areas for irrigation and fertilization.
So back to this.
Yeah,
Do we need to assess the irrigation needs before we approve this to put grass in that irrigation?
so two quick things. Before we put any sod, any plants, I want you to know that you have our 100% focus to make sure that the area has perfect coverage.
Okay.
It has good pressure, and then we also do get an allowance for your water.
Okay,
So,
so I'm not opposed to entertaining this, but I would like to defer this until we can get an update next month on what the supporting irrigation looks like before we decide that we want to do this.
Right, because it's not just this.
Right.
It's also the irrigation, it's also the ongoing maintenance of this area, what it's gonna cost. How viable is it? Because it keeps happening up there, you know, everything keeps dying up there.
No, we need some attention in irrigation, and that's what we're.
So can we table this until next month and then you can come back next month and validate what the irrigation can or cannot do, and we'll start with that
Yeah.
before we put grass in?
and I would like the opportunity to present some designs and renderings to do artificial turf and my ideas for that area as well.
Nice.
Yeah, I have an artificial turf company that I've worked with for 15 years.
But understand that we want to put some games around the.
I don't have many.
Like,
We already have that.
the board, horseshoes.
We already have that. We already have that.
So I don't know if any of you been, just quickly, DoubleTree by Hilton over by SeaWorld. I did $1 million renovation for them. That was part of my past experience, and we actually did outdoor foosball table. We did outdoor ping pong. We did outdoor pool tables for that. And we actually built paver walkways.
Yes, yeah.
That connected each one, which is just another idea outside the box that you could do combined with artificial turf.
You've been to the Riviera Resort at Disney?
I don't know if I've.
No, okay, on the back side of that property, they have some turf in areas and they have the bocce ball and stuff and board, and they even have a putt hole or two back there. And that's kind of the vibe that I would like to do around that space and then turn in around it.
And I have done that. I also been in Park Village. If you've been to the outdoor Park Village where they have the chess and checkerboard.
Yes.
And the active chess and checkerboard you can do. So I have a lot of experience.
Okay, so we're just looking to, you know, take the space that we have and take advantage of ill-placed volleyball court and enhance that area to create just another amenity for homeowners and
Yeah.
guests that may not want to use the pool or, you know, if it's a cold day,
Yeah,
just get people out and.
I think it's a great idea. As soon as you mentioned to me, my idea started going with different ideas.
Yeah, I'm gonna dedicate March for us to get together and ideally put the plans together, get all the numbers that we need. The fact that you got experience, great. For efficiency, since we're gonna table this, let's move on. We're not gonna jump into the, landscape scope just yet. If we could pause, cause I gotta get, Steadfast out of here.
Sure.
I'm gonna table this for now. Let's jump into aquatic maintenance updates really quickly. On tab 15.
15 is this.
Then I could
Stop.
barely see. 2020 on I think there's some.
Or is it?
Cell tower?
No.
Is it not tab 15? Oh, I'm sorry.
It's 13.
13, tab 13.
Oh, okay.
Let me pull it. Alright, here we go. Matt, how's our ponds talking?
They're doing okay. We had those, 4 days of sub-freezing temperatures,
Yeah.
I believe, and I guess very, very rain. So all plants died. The good ones, bad ones, everything died. As long as it wasn't like in the water itself. I've been seeing in other communities after the freezes, some beneficial plants are starting to come back, just the larger stalks, they're dead and in decay, but the lower laying growth is coming back, so I expect to see that here. It's a little bit of time, so I'll get there. When I was out here last week doing the inspection, wasn't looking too bad. I know the two ponds are really pointed out are pond 0 and pond 9. We took care of those. We started to on Wednesday. 0, I just told the guy, just pull out all the stops, what we need to in this pond to kill the grass that's running at the bottom because it's starting to reach the top. And I just hate to see that.
0 is up on
Next 7.
Ronald Reagan.
Yeah,
Okay.
next 7-11. It's a super strong herbicide, sinks down to the bottom, and it sits in there, and we do 2 bump treatments with it, to really knock it out, so that was very quickly.
Does that affect because there are a lot of sandhill cranes around here, does not affect them?
It's such a low concentration, I think we have it at 2.5 parts per million, so they're almost undetectable, so my words like that. The other one, pond 9, I just went and looked at it, he did a pretty strong algae treatment, it's already starting to die. That one's been a problem for a while, it should start to clear up a little bit. But really, it's just, I think about a third of your ponds are dry right now, so they just need to fill back up and this time it's gonna start raining. At the bottom of the report, there are 2 things I want to point out. One wasn't on pond 0, but one up on the front. The mitered end section, which is essentially the structure that lets water flow into the pond, is completely destroyed. You gotta have stand come out, look at it and see what it would take to replace that, because it's gonna inhibit the function of the pond.
Okay.
And if the water management district catches it, they're gonna find you and then force you to fix it, so I'd get on top of it.
Greg, are you seeing this?
So how do you think that happened? Was it just settling of the?
Yeah, it just looks like-
And it just kind of crumbled under the weight?
Yeah, that's what it looks like, because there's a big old erosion washout in front of it, it looks like it eroded, the whole thing just collapsed, it's rusted underneath it too.
Okay, so it wasn't any inappropriate behavior back there? Okay.
Greg, on the February report from the aquatics team on tab 13, there is some stormwater damages here that we're gonna need some immediate attention.
Yep, we'll get some proposals for that. It's a typical issue that we see quite often. It's basically from your water rising and falling over time, just washes out behind the mitered end sections. Basically what we do is we'll go in and we'll put down some filter fabric, and if the structure's still there, in this particular case, I believe the structure has failed and has fallen off, which then we will reconstruct that structure. When we reconstruct that structure, we will put riprap around it to make sure that this doesn't happen again in the future, that we don't have to keep addressing this issue with this mitered end section.
What's typically your estimate on cost to repair something like that?
It's around $2,000.
And is it something that we can just give them permission to do, to a certain amount of money.
If we're, yeah, if we, in this particular case, we're removing and replacing the entire thing, it may be a bit more than that. Do you know what size the pipe is or anything like that? It depends on the size of the pipe, the size of the mitered end. So I'll have to take a look at it or look at the photos, or maybe the pond folks can measure that for us so that we know what we're looking at.
Okay. For liability reasons, can we put some sort of orange warning tape, caution tape or something around it for now? And then until we can really assess and figure.
And just to be very clear, no, that's not recreational. No one should be climbing animal around it. We're not encouraging that.
There's no.
Right, okay. Sorry, I used the L word.
Oh, Matt, when's the next time you guys are gonna be on pond? 2 weeks. Can you take a measurement, and then send it over to me, and then I'll send it over to Greg?
Yeah, they look like they're about.
Alright. Greg, I'll try to get you that in the event that we don't get it in the next few weeks. I don't know if you wanted to plan a on-site inspection yourself within the next 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But I'll leave that up to you.
The pipes.
Yep, no problem. And if the board would like us to review the other ponds, if there's any other issues, we can do that.
Okay. Alright. Anything else? The plans that we're gonna need to cover?
Yeah, plants and everything like that, don't come next month, it's still a little bit too dry. I talked to my plant guy like 2 weeks ago, he said he's good to go, so his filters are still fine, I guess his filters are okay, but. And with fountains too, there's gonna be some issues putting fountains in, because the power I need to actually power the fountains is too far from where the fountain would be.
Can they be solar or no?
They can. Solar fountains, while I love the idea, huge pain in the neck. They're about 3 times more expensive to install and maintain. It's not right.
Scrap that.
What else?
Plants.
Carp?
Carp, you could put carp in there. They need a lot of permits to do it. And we usually only stop carp if you have like really bad submerged grass growth, which I don't see a need for. But I have other stuff for other fish that'll also be there. Ryan has all, we'll go over it next week.
Supervisor Naylor, you have some comments?
Previously you mentioned you're gonna take, in the March, when we're gonna propose something to, clean up the pond. Do you have this proposals for you?
I asked the vendor to table it till April because we had a lot of agenda items.
It's still too dry to plant. Yeah, we want it to rain.
But we have it.
Yeah,
We
there,
have the-
we got it.
All right. Do you see, I mean, because I, always like looking for solutions, some of our retention ponds are dry, which is not under your purview. But even around our waterways, we have this sandy area that doesn't look, and, I'd like to, besides prettying it up, I'd also like to create some sort of barrier so that kids don't feel like, oh, let me wander into the pond. So I read that poppies, they do extremely well in sandy soil. They do on their own, perfect for our weather and everything else. Don't require any irrigation or anything like that. Would poppies present any sort of aquatic issue if they are surrounding the beach?
It just depends. We don't want to put anything in a retention or detention area that isn't at least an aquatic plant, because then you're spending money to plant it and it might just drown. Even if it is dry most of the time, it's gonna hold water. It should hold water at some point, which is why we have a list of plants that we always recommend. Poppies are not really on there.
What about on the periphery, the place where it would never get wet?
Still, that area is the high water line. When you're talking Sandy Bank and Solterra starts, that is basically how high the water will ever get. Which, if it's dry most of the time, it could, but I still don't see a benefit to it. Because that also, if plants are nice, but our guys complain about it if there's too many plants in.
It also prevents them from getting access.
Yeah, which is why you'll see that from the plants that I have, it spaces them out nicely, so we still.
Understood.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions on aquatics? Yep.
lower in there, yeah, the trash is getting really, really bad. Again, just on 27, which is at the end of the roundabout, you turn right to go into Village House. Those were my notes from when I was out here. I had our guys out on Wednesday. They picked up 160 gallons of trash off of one hour.
Oh,
And then I was here this morning and I got another 40 in 2 days after they completely cleaned it. I know there's talking to your friend over here about a trash corner.
trash bins on along those
Yeah.
walkways.
Yeah, let's, I won't dive too much into the weeds. Let me work with Joe on providing some solutions for maybe a groundskeeper to, you know, some additional, so maybe daily at this point, you know.
Yeah, but just, I think it, you know, maybe I'm too optimistic, but I think I am.
Trash cans make things.
They kind of do.
People don't.
People don't maybe get near it.
You probably do.
Right now, it's getting into a lane.
Yeah.
To come through and replace trash.
Well, what, you said 80 pounds or 60?
He built 4 40-gallon bags and then I did another one this morning.
So what is it that they're pulling out? Is it like trash or just like?
It's water bottles, it's paper plates, it's clothes hangers, there, I got some car parts in there, there's bags, everything.
There was a scooter there when we drove by last month, you
Me
know.
and Brian did, so walking, man, scooting in the pond, I built it, it's like a scooting on.
Look at, you know, it's just a bunch of loose trash, because you have a bunch of, you know, yeah.
Someone dumped the bike behind my house.
Probably six months ago, my house, or probably.
And like, I just want to make sure it's about it. I don't want our guys spending more and more time picking up trash than they should be spraying the grass, I just don't want that service. And
Right. I know I'm
Some people.
probably next on the agenda. So part of that is, we used to have our team here picking up the entire boulevard in its community, so it was less of a problem. It was discontinued, but we're on the agenda today to try and bring it back. The thing is that there's 3 fields here in Solterra where people use to either play soccer or all that kind of stuff, like the one by Terra Semesta and all that. And as soon as they're playing, those water bottles are getting thrown the plates, and then it all blows too deep on.
Sure.
So it's just, if we can catch it while it's at the field, it will get to the pump.
Yeah, no, and that proposal's coming up, so great points, we'll continue to work, and consider that as a solution.
That's something I'd still like to talk about, not talk about now, but consider for next meeting, I know we're on timeline. The idea of putting some strategically placed trash cans. I think it's just the responsible thing to do.
Service, a porta service or something to actually service the cans regularly.
That's part of that one. So, Sharon, if you wanna get the trash cans, I can add servicing those trash cans to our agreement. So if you wanna put like 6 down Main Boulevard, we'll take care of those 6.
Beautiful.
So when we place those bench pads and place the benches, maybe we can put a trash can accompanying the benches instead of just in random locations.
Yeah, let's basically put together a map.
We have to be.
Let's let finish.
Sure,
Want to finish, because I know he has an appointment.
sure, yeah.
That was basically it, so next month we'll come
All
back.
right, thank you. I'll look forward to seeing
Yeah.
on the plants and hopefully we get some right. Thanks for your patience.
Thank you so much.
So yeah, we'll put together a map, and then you guys can approve the locations. Okay. Let's jump back into the landscape service. I'll turn it over to legal. For the architect.
I mean, landscape keeps.
No, that's a good. Did you have any, because I know we have to formally adopt the scope of service and if there's any additional stuff. The evaluation. If you have any, if not, I'll just dive into it.
No, then go for it. All I would have to say is why not to be supervised with the evaluation and make sure that matches what they're going to have to use it. So to match what they're looking for, because they would not do the experiment.
No, so much. Yeah, so, team, going over the scope of service on tab 3. So Sunscape, this is actually one of the biggest reasons why we entered into this partnership. They have developed over a series of years a methodology to, you know, basically create a scope of service that's specific to each property. So I've already vetted this with Mark in terms of his recommendations, his detail work, his mowing, you know, all the fertilization, everything that encompassed into their program. This is standard now, applicable to our property. So what you're considering now is the scope of service to officially solicit the landscape RFP with the target dates that you see before you. So if approved today, we'd be looking to begin the RFP notice on March 9th. And so on and so forth through that bid process. In the event that some dates have to move around just for scheduling purposes, we'll just, adjust this as needed. But, you would be approving the scope of service and then we will solicit bids. And, vendors, just like we did with our pool RFP, will put in proposals for consideration, which will be, reviewed with the board in their April meeting.
Yeah, I read through this and I really liked that it was broken down very into very specific bits and pieces, like cost to plant plants based on how big the containers were, price to remove plants. So, yeah, I think that this is great in its current form.
And just keep in mind, supervisors, this is another formal bid, so we'll have our phone of silence, so please do not discuss this RFP with any vendors.
I don't know any.
They may.
They've been trying to contact you,
Yeah.
and that's more of the concern. If they do contact you, just be politely let them know that this is the whole bid and you're gonna be able to, discuss with them, but if they have questions, they can submit a formal Q&A process, that's outlined in the RFP.
Okay.
I'll make sure to accept the formal bid as proposed.
Any questions on the evaluation criteria? Because much like today, you're going to have to use that evaluation criteria, those points, those categories to evaluate all of your proposals.
Okay, any feedback from Sunscape on the terms of the RFP, or will they kind of act as a consultant in terms of evaluating the bids as they come in advance of us, reviewing them?
That's correct, yeah, they will be with us throughout the entire
Okay.
process, basically taking the leader chair.
And supervisors, if you all want the proposers to attend the meeting where this will be considered to make a presentation, I have some boards that do this in the job.
For that, if, yes. Because then they can, present their proposals and we can have an opportunity to ask questions. I think that's always ideal.
I just wanted to make sure everyone was on the same page with that one, so that could be it.
Yeah, yes, you like that, right? Yes.
Yeah, bear with me. So the motion from Supervisor Boissard is approving the landscape RFP scope of service as seen, to request, attendance from bidders in the next meeting. And I have a second from Supervisor Bynum. All in favor?
It would be nice if they would bring whoever would be managing our accounts so we can,
Needs to be original.
Yes. All right, we will get part of that work here, presents. Landscape, landscape team, anything else to add?
No, and, Jeremy just got confirmation that, on the cutbacks, we're gonna.
Wait, so.
Yeah.
okay, do we have an irrigation thing to ratify in here later?
Yeah, actually, you could take that motion. I think we had a proposal.
Oh, the irrigation, the video one, no, it was like less than $200.
No, there's a queen farm removal, ratification.
That's the ratification. They sent in, how every month they have usually landscape repairs, so Vicky just sent me.
Okay.
It's not on the agenda yet, which moving forward, I think this is gonna be attached to your.
I don't think I see it here, actually.
No, it's not on the agenda. This is the, here we go. The irrigation repairs for last month, I believe, so $193.01. Be recommending approval of proposals 654-379.
Do we want to add to the scope maintaining the plants, in the pods around the amenity center?
I believe Jeff, requested for that to be added to the RFP.
Into the scope of service?
Yeah.
I would anticipate that.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
I'm in the ratified district items, and there's a Yellowstone proposal in here for irrigation repairs from December of 2024.
Yeah, so that's ratification. So you already formally approved it in your previous meeting. You're just.
2024.
Oh, 2024, maybe that was a typo.
It's dated December 30th, 2024. It's page 775.
For ratification items?
Yeah.
Let me pull this away. All right, let me do this. Let me finish this one. Do I have a motion to approve irrigation repairs for January?
Motion to approve 65437.
Motion from Supervisor Boyd, do I have a second? Who's that? Yeah. Supervisor Winkler. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approving irrigation repairs for January.
And then I think there was a comment to go back to the RFP to make sure the product plans were included in the scope.
Yeah, maybe we could look at the scope right now, actually. Let me pull it up. Let's see. All right, so. Okay, mulch, hard materials, seasonal color, annual flower install prices include bed preparation by removing, disposing of old flowers, standard mechanically, turning vents, bed preparation, supply, install, assemble, St. Augustine irrigation, general labor, harbor care, miscellaneous,
It's not.
it's not in.
I'm not saying it, I would be looking for other Schedule B special services where they have. It's not in here in that I've now looked for it in 100 seconds. The section I would think it would be in, it's not included. It talks about flower bed maintenance, but not flowers within that. Again, Sunscape is your actual scope expert. That is not our area of expertise. But if that's not included, then that's something that the board would like to have included, which given the amount of product plans you have out here, I would think.
I think that,
Should
yeah,
be.
whoever brought that.
Sunscape.
So the potted plants, we could definitely review with them. So the potted plants isn't typical to their set scope. And the potted plants, the way I've been seeing it, Supervisor Winter, it's kind of like our project that we've been working with our amenity staff. So we could try to include it. I just don't know if they have expertise on basically managing what we're creating. Which I don't need either way. Okay. So the potted plants has kind of been like a weed project with amenity staff.
Right, I know it's not what they usually do, but, it's, I think it just makes it a lot easier, on our amenity staff. And hopefully it shouldn't take too much, because one of the things that we discussed was that was a lot of the locations of the plants, there's irrigation right there. And it would cost literally $5.64 to have them self-irrigate. The only ones where that would be an issue were the ones that we had to move, that were right there next to the pool, and we can't have those there anyway. Unless we do something massive, big, dig up, bring in water lines, something that's at least yay high so that kids can't jump into it and there's no threat of hurt from the pool. So, for the health department. It's not a small thing.
At a previous meeting, agreeing not to exceed to put irrigation, drip thing in all of the pots. I thought we did.
No, it was only a,
I know we talked about it at another meeting.
We talked about it before we actually did the installation, but it was way too high, and it was included in our report. It was included in installing.
I feel like we talked about it in January and agreed to it.
Okay.
We had a meeting in January, we didn't have a meeting in February.
Karen, I'm gonna go ahead and work on this.
I did submit a proposal to it, but again, it wasn't, I'll discuss it with Jeff.
Yeah, let us know.
I'm pretty sure we discussed that and did it
What the-
exceed on putting irrigation in the pots.
Let
In
me
January.
Let me review it. So just to also catch up, it's fair. Right now, we are trying to minimize how many proposals and how many action items we have for landscape specifically on a month-to-month basis. So this month's been targeted for the conversation of the hardwood prunings, the palm pruning, the cold snap. So next month, you're gonna get another wave and the landscape RFP, obviously. So, all good comments. Let me work on this. Get back to you. I'm gonna make a note, follow up on potted irrigation.
I have two questions.
Yeah.
About the water fees, next time before we bring it to the board, could you please check everything, all the references? Anything that you require as per the RFP, so we say we don't
If-
long debate.
If we can, if they don't provide it in their package, we do attempt to independently verify it. If
Right.
we can't independently verify it, then we let the board know.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
And usually the way we, Meredith and I have seen the landscape RFPs go, once they're submitted and have the official opening, they're normally gone ahead and sent to the board, so you all can start reviewing, so it's not just a few days to review, 6 different giant RFP landscaping proposals, because that can be a little bit.
And speaking
One, don't you cover every,
Yes, sir. We'll provide the legal sufficiency for you all. We went through today, same thing for the landscape RFP.
okay, thank you.
And to be clear, Sam, that when they do receive these bids from an RFP, even if they don't provide all the information and all the information isn't able to be verified before our next meeting, it is still incumbent upon council to communicate that information and provide everything to us as to what was provided.
Yes, we do let you know about the legal sufficiency. We don't talk about scope or things like that. That's what other experts are for, but we certainly will advise on the legal sufficiency.
It sounded like what Sam was asking was, I think he was saying that you guys weren't following through and getting the information before presenting it to us, and simply saying that you can't always verify it during the time allotted, but you are required to pass along whatever information you have, and then we're on a timeline here.
Yeah.
See, in a minute.
Yeah. No, sounds good. I got the approvals I need. I'm gonna move forward. Anything else from landscape? No. Guys, thank you so much. Seriously, appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
All right. Let's try to get through at least the F&B and general maintenance before we take maybe a quick break.
Okay.
I'm gonna turn it over to F&B operations for tabs 4 through 8.
So you're so.
Okay, that's fair. Well, let's go into general maintenance and then we'll come back to,
Wow, timing is everything.
we'll come back to, F&B. So let's jump into general manager updates on tab 9.
Okay.
Is that fair? You're good.
All right, well, good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon, Joe.
Thank you. So the manager's report this month, I did like a bit of a retooling, just to be able to. Go try to bring as much information in there as possible. Allow you to drill down into various things. There's an executive summary at the front that summarizes again everything that's in it, and then a conclusion in the back that's basically just kind of our insights into terms of how everything's going. So, just a breakdown as usual goes, kind of a financial summary. This year, kind of year over year, you're doing in terms of your leisure fees, which is kind of where most of your revenue is coming in. You're up 33%, which is really nice to see. February was funky for us because again, we thought February was going to be a bit slower. And it's really, really nice period of people coming through. So in terms of your actual sales, you're at about 64,965, whereas this time last year you were about 51,000.
Let's go.
So that's nice. Your total transactions are up. Again, I am trying to get through, sake of time, but yeah, so basically you're up,
18%.
18%.
One of the seasonal strategies that we did, and this is because you'll see in the numbers, you'll see kind of the discount rate as it relates to the cabanas. This is something we've kind of talked about before, with Chairman Murr, and, essentially it's very similar to a lightning lane or fast pass, as we're seeing peak or non-peak. We kind of treat the cabanas the same. We'd rather you guys make money off of something than instead of it. We have been kind of fluctuating between a $50 and $75 point depending upon day of week, and it really just does that, and that has, by our data, again, there's some caveats to it, by our data, that is actually reflecting an 18% growth on what otherwise would have been in cabanas.
Very good.
So it's working, for now. Obviously, once we get to the peak season, we'll be trying to maximize the problem. Cabana rentals, again, everything's up this year. So everything is up, that's kind of obviously where we're trying to point out the revenue. Thank you. Got a lot of information here on staffing and labor analysis. So while it does say that you're currently at 90.8% utilization on staff hours, that is with us being, we're actually down probably a full-timer and a half right now. Just hired all new full-timer, they'll come in, that'll kind of bring utilization down slightly. The budget then does allow us to kind of bring somebody in at about 20 to 25 hours. That'll help with seasonal. And then we actually have a current seasonal employee who we kind of use in kind of an emergent status. So we're doing pretty well. Obviously, I'll wait until we get to kind of May 30th, the end of all of this, to kind of see where we're doing. But in terms of our budget, we're looking really good for the amenity side. We're looking very good for the maintenance side, to definitely fall where we need to budget wise. And then, obviously, I'll get the amenity manager to see how we think, how we done as it relates to, serving the customer, basically. Have they noticed the decrease in staff? The goal is to say that, prior to your previous company, that there was a reduction of 6 staff members, but not a reduction in quality. And in fact, actually an increase on that. And that is something that obviously got to give a lot of praise and props to the staff with. I think probably something you've seen the reviews online. A lot of staff members getting a lot of name recognition. They're just doing a fantastic job and really stepping up, because obviously they are thin as compared to where they have been with previous years.
Amazing. And what a difference between last year and I have to think that the reviews and the general vibe of what's going on has everything to do with the amount of traffic and flow and bookings that we have. And I've got clients, I just had to, people have been really desperate to sell their homes, and because they have no bookings, and now I'm having to navigate between the bookings for closing dates, things like that, and inspections, and it's been really rough. So that tells me something really important. And that's whatever it is that we're doing here is working out there, because the world is seeing it and the world is reacting to it. So well done, y'all. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for that. So, I won't go items regarding board action, because that's what we're going to talk about next. The completed project, obviously the gym refresh is done now. The rock water pressure wash that was done by Simon and his crew, they did a fantastic job on that.